Hello, I'm the director of the European School of Economics in London, and it is my privilege and honor to welcome Dr. Bruce Lipton and our founder and president, Elio D'Anna. The European School of Economics began as a beautiful dream. Our motto is Visibilia ex invisibilibus, which means that all we can see and touch in the physical world is but a simultaneous manifestation of our own inner worlds. I'll leave the expansion of these ideas, of course, to our speakers, who will be introduced in just a moment, and conclude by reading an excerpt from one of Elio's essays. We are rapidly moving towards a not doing civilization where truth, beauty, goodness, and the pursuit of happiness are the pillars of a shining new, economically evolved society. One day, a dreaming society will no longer work. Humanity that loves will be rich enough to dream, and infinitely rich because it dreams. Thank you again so much for joining, and I will pass over the meeting to Philippe, who will introduce the speakers.
Thank you so much, and hello everyone. We have people joining, I'm told, from all over the world. Please tell us where you're from in the Zoom chat. We'd love to know, and you can check out the Zoom chat if it's available to you and your technology, and you'll see where your fellow attendees are from. As Kristen said, I'm Philippe van den Bos, and I'll be your moderator today. And on behalf of our speakers, Elio D'Anna and Bruce Lipton, I'd like to welcome you and thank you for joining us today for this fascinating discussion with these two extraordinary individuals. Please feel free to send our speakers your questions in the chat as well, if you'd like. So with all the talk and scientific progress today around extending human life, many serious people today are envisioning the possibility of living much longer lives, perhaps living forever. And today we'll explore some interesting ideas about how we could perhaps overcome death. And our two speakers, each from his own perspective, one as a scientist and the other as an economist and philosopher, may have discovered a new idea outside of the dogma of science and religion, the possibility that we may have even greater control over our lives and our mortality than we were taught to believe. Bruce Lipton, PhD, is a pioneer in the new biology. He's an internationally recognized leader in bridging science and spirit. As a cell biologist, Bruce has performed pioneering stem cell research at Stanford University's School of Medicine, which set the stage for the revolutionary field of epigenetics. I'm sure you'll learn a little bit more about that field of study today. Bruce is the recipient of the prestigious Goy Peace Award in honor of his scientific contribution to world harmony. He's a best-selling author of The Biology of Belief, a book that sits on my shelf and which I've read several times, and co-author of Spontaneous Evolution. And his latest book is The Honeymoon Effect, the science of creating heaven on earth. And you can learn more about Bruce at brucelipton.com. Elio D'Anna is the founder and president of the European School of Economics. He is a renowned speaker as well, philosopher, economist, serial entrepreneur. He is the author of international best-selling book, The School for Gods, as well as The Technology for the Dreamer. And you can learn more about Elio by visiting elio-danna.com. That's D-A-N-N-A. And so thank you both very much for sharing your time with us today.
Thank you, Phil.
Yes, thank you. And before we get on to our topic, I thought we would first start with a general introduction to your work. Bruce, starting with you, for those here who are new to your work, could you share with us your overarching message or the central idea that you share with the world through your books and your research and your speaking, perhaps even a little bit about your personal journey as well?
I so appreciate that, Philippe and Elio. I want to also very much start with this. I so very much appreciate the European school that Elio has got off the ground here. It's very important because the planet is facing an evolution, and it's a breakdown of a current civilization and the building up of a new civilization, which means a new way of looking at the world. Because the way we've been looking at the world, the way we've been living on this planet, has precipitated what is called the sixth mass extinction of life. 5 times in the history of this planet, life was thriving, and then some cataclysmic event wiped it out and essentially started over again. The last mass extinction, 66 million years ago, when all the dinosaurs and the planet was lush with forests, a comet hit near Mexico, and the comet upended the web of life. All the dinosaurs disappeared, and 75% of all life disappeared and started over. Now, the issue is that today we're losing species faster than in previous mass extinctions. But the issue is this: it's due to human behavior. The way we have been living on this planet as a social structure, as an interaction with the environment, we are actually destroying ourselves, and it's coming very fast. This is not an extinction in 1,000 years. This is an extinction within a century. So we need to change our behavior and understand who we are. And there's a whole new world of science. And Elio and I have both been recognizing there's another world out there, and we have to change who we are. So I want to thank the school for letting me be here. But first of all, let me thank all of you out there. Every one of you out in this audience represents what we call a cultural creative. Each one of you is seeking answers to the problem of the world, not through the old thinking, but stepping out and creating new thinking and new ideas, just like the European school is doing. So my deepest appreciation for you being here, because you represent the leading edge of an evolution that could take us into the future and thriving. So, okay, sorry for the long intro, but very quickly, what my research was all about. I was teaching in a medical school the stuff that all of you have learned, that genes turn on and off and control our lives. And I say, well, when I was teaching that, what was the result? And the result is we made all these people victims. We made you victims because we told you your life is not in your control. Your life is in the control of the genes. My research 50 some years ago revealed a completely different story, that the environment, and more important, our perception of the environment, is what controls our genes. And I say, well, why is that relevant? Well, you can have a very healthy life and live for a long, long time, or you can have a very short life and die of sickness. And I go, what's the difference? We used to say genes, but now we know it's consciousness and thinking and our programming. So my research revealed that the environment controls this. And if we change the environment or change our perception of the environment, then we change our world experiences. I know this personally because up for the first 40 years of my life, I taught conventional biology about genes controlling life. And once I learned this new science, my whole world has changed. I live in, as you can see, this is part of an environment I live in. It's like I've moved from a world of struggle into a world of joy, happiness, and health and creativity. And I said, what was the difference? I say, the program. I had to change from understanding I'm a victim to understanding I'm a creator. And it sounds kind of weird, but quantum physics, the most valid science on this planet, quantum physics, the biggest principle. Consciousness is creating your life experience. Change your consciousness and you change the character of your life. And this is what the economic school is all about. This is what the new biology is all about. And the idea is when, if I get quiet and let Elio talk, we'll get on with the program, but I will show you how thinking changes your longevity and how we create this beautiful world that is out here for all of us. thank you for that short, but I made it long introduction.
That's nice. That's nice.
Perfect length, Bruce. Thank you so much, and so much to unpack there. It's very exciting territory, and we're really looking forward to hearing more throughout this conversation today. And so now I'll ask Elio, I'll ask you the same question. What is it that you've discovered that you're eager to share with your students and the world through all of your work? And again, I would also be very eager to hear about your personal journey.
First of all, I'd like to let you understand, all of you, that I am talking to you personally and not to all of you, to the crowd. I am talking to you, wherever you are. And this is very important for me because I discovered that through all my researches and understanding that the world outside myself, the world outside yourself, is just a projection of your inner being. Then being and reality are one and the same, but everything comes from within you yourself, not all of you. The others are just a manifestation of your inner being. Then if you want to change the world, if you want to do something for humanity, you have to change yourself. This is the only way. I went through many revolutions in my life. The music, the technology, the education, the business and entrepreneurship. But I tell you that it was a failure trying to change the outer world. It is impossible. You can change the external reality only through yourself. If you change your inner being, you will see that the world will follow you. And this is the only thing that you should do. And then you can say, how can we, transform all the violence and conflicts and injustice that you find outside in the world of events? And I tell you that they are just reflecting your inner world. If you encounter violence in your reality, it means that you are expressing from within that violence. If you get rid of all the violence and conflicts from within, you will never meet any violence, aggressiveness, conflict, war outside yourself. Then I can say, this is paradoxical, that there is no violence in the world, but only within you. This is very, very important because I entitled our conversations and our meeting, Deathlessness, the alchemy of loving yourself inside. This is interesting from my point of view. To love yourself inside means to stop killing yourself within yourself. This is what Bruce was telling you before. Then you have to enter deeply within yourself. And Bruce is looking at the situation from the scientific point of view. It is from my point of view that I'm an economist and a philosopher. I can say that all and everything comes from within. Then if you are able to observe what is going on within yourself, could be the hell, could be something very, very negative. But if you just observe it without trying to change it, you will see that the outer world will change. Consequently, then try to observe what is going on within yourself, and you will understand why the world is unjust, is violent, is aggressive, and all the disasters in the world are coming from within you yourself. Sorry about it, because it seems an accusation, but this is my understanding. Then if you try to be within yourself and be careful of what is going on within yourself, you will be in command and you will be able to guide the entire humanity.
Thank you, Elio, and it's a great launching point is into our topic today of deathlessness. So Bruce, and this is now, feel free to engage directly with each other in this as a conversation, but I'll pose this to you, Bruce. You've spoken about death being one of the 4 myth perceptions of the apocalypse. The 4 horsemen, I think it was referred to as, biblically. Can you talk about that? And from your perspective, can death be healed? Is deathlessness possible?
Philippe, this is a wonderful and most valuable question in today's world. And Elio and I have both talked about this from different perspectives with the same understanding. And I'll come from the scientific understanding. The idea that we live in a physical world, but this is the world we believe in, that the universe is made out of matter and energy, 2 realms. And we talk about the matter realm, physical body, physical world, physical is matter, and energy is the invisible stuff. And we, in our world, focus on matter. And we focus on getting physical things and all that. And here's the most important secret, that it's not a secret, but nobody understands, conventional. And that is, if you take an atom apart, atom is supposed to be the physical pieces of the universe. I say, if you take an atom apart, there's no matter inside. An atom is energy. It's like a nano tornado, a force field. And I say, this is an illusion, because matter does not exist. And right away, people are going, what do you mean it doesn't exist? I say, what you see is a reflection of light hitting energy. If there was no light on, you can't see me. And I say, but the light, when it hits the energy, the photons of light bounce back. So you don't see me. You see the photons hitting the surface and coming back. You see a veneer of photons. Underneath the light, I'm invisible energy. And I go, so why is that relevant? Because we also know who you are as a person, separate from everyone else, because each of us has a unique vibration. Each of us has a unique energy, and each of us has the energy identifies us. No 2 people come from the same energy. So imagine a radio where you have a dial, and you can turn the dial and go one station, another station, another station. Well, the energy of humans is like that, where you can move the dial and here's one person, here's another person, here's another. We're each a broadcast. We're a broadcast energy. And I go, so why is it relevant? And the answer is, you can't kill the energy. Energy, everything is energy, and you can't destroy energy. So why is that? Well, first of all, your vibration that makes you different than everybody else is always here. You're always here. Are you in physical form? Not necessarily, but your identity, your vibration is always here. You can't die because that's an energy. So I go, so what? And I say, well, what about the body? I say, the body is a reflection of the energy. And quantum physics is the science that says, this is in the scientific journal, the most prestigious scientific journal, an article on the mental universe by a physicist. This final sentence, the last sentence, the universe is immaterial. That means the universe is energy. And then it goes, the universe is immaterial, it's mental and spiritual, live and enjoy. Well, when that's in the most prestigious scientific journal, we're moving into a new world now. And the idea is you are energy, and our world is created from our consciousness. And so when you look at the world, if it's not what you want, you still somehow got created. How'd you create that? And so very briefly is this, as the physicists say, the mind is creating this. And I'm sure if I asked you, I say, did your mind create all the problems here? And you would say, no, I wouldn't create that. I go, but collectively, we all have a belief in our mind. So all of a sudden, here's the most important part, and then I try and be quiet. Most important part, there are two minds at the same time, two minds. One is called the conscious mind, and another one is called subconscious mind. I say, what's different? Conscious is what you are conscious, aware of. Subconscious works when you don't pay any attention. Okay, now here's how it works in very brief. The brain is a computer. If you go to the store and buy a brand new computer and you bring it home and you push start, they say the computer boots up, it's ready. Then I say, can you use the computer, brand new computer, can you use it? I go, no. I say, why not? Before you can use the computer, you have to put a program into the computer. If there are no programs, you can't use it. So I say, in human development, the brain computer, for the first 7 years of your life, the brain computer is downloading programs, downloading behavior by watching your mother, watch your father, watch your brother and sister, watch your community. Until 7 years of age, you are recording behavior of other people. So the point is, in your subconscious mind where the programs are, you got programs of behavior, but you got them from other people. But when you get to be 7, all of a sudden the conscious mind begins to work. That's creative. And I go, that's the one with wishes and desires. This is the one Elio is talking about. When you create with wishes and desires, you create the life you want. But then I say, then how come I'm not creating the life I want? And the answer is, only 5% of the day are you using the mind that creates life. 95% of the day, the programs that you got from other people control your life, the subconscious. And the reason is, if the conscious is thinking, it's busy, it's not controlling anything. It's inside. Thinking is inside. But to work, conscious has to look outside. So I go, 95% of the day, you are creating from the programs you got from other people, which are past generation. You're not creating the life you want because your programs are creating that life and they're not even yours. And so what you see is not from your mind, it's from subconscious program. If you change the program and create from this conscious mind, your mind, then you will create the life you want. But 95% of the day, that's the time we spend thinking. 95% of the day, your creation, your life you're creating, is not coming from you, it's coming from your program. And this is where even something like aging is a program. Why? Because as children, what did we learn? There are younger people, then they get older people, and then they start to get sick, and then they die. That's a program. We don't have to do that. But if your program is 95% of the day playing that, then that is your life. And so the most important thing I can tell you is this: you are a creator, but for an average person, only 5% of your life are you creating with your wishes. 95% of your life is coming from whatever you learned in school, from your parents. And this is how we pass problems like war, anger, pass from generation, bigotry. Why do some people hate some other people? That's from generations, passed from parent to child. And the whole answer to your life is when you understand this, as Elio could talk about in economics, as I can talk about in science, when you understand this, you can switch from subconscious program to creating wishes and desires, heaven on earth. I'll just close very quickly with every day you are coming from the program, but when you fall in love, when you first fall in love and you have a big love going on in your heart, you stop playing the program for a while. And I say, then what was your life when you fell in love? I go, all of a sudden, your life was heaven on earth. And that's called honeymoon. I go, your life was blah, 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 blah. Then you met someone, and 24 hours later, you have honeymoon. That's a creation. And if you understand this creation, you could have a honeymoon every day of your life for hundreds of years, but we'll talk about that after my brother Elio talks.
Yes, thanks, Bruce. And so Elio, you talk about this in your work, this first education, which is full of lies and falsehoods and beliefs that are very limiting. What's your view of this?
I wanted to be very close to what Bruce was saying before. Previous education is really giving to young generations, a sort of fantasy of how they can approach the entire existence. They are giving them a sort of hypnotism, and they are growing in a sort of homologation. They are all the same. Every student has got the same knowledge. They give them the same ideas, obsolete, false ideas, and they grow in an environment that is false. It is a fake. What I'm trying to do with through the European School of Economics is to talk about an individual revolution, where the student is able to come out with his own uniqueness and with his own ideas and dream. No school or no universities is doing this. They all are trying to fill up the students with the obsolete notions, concepts, knowledge, which is anachronistic. It is out of the time. Now, I'd like to say that you were the question before to Bruce was, can we heal death? And this is interesting because what we are giving to students, very young and less young students, is a sort of death. It is not life. Then they are eating death. They are getting used to eat very poisonous food, which is impressions and knowledge and whatever coming from outside. Now we have to let students to come out with their own ideas, with their own uniqueness, their own dream, and you will see. And I can. European School of Economics is an example of this because our students are occupying incredible positions in the scale the business and the humanity, because we are able to let them to come out with their own dream, which is already there. As Bruce was saying, the 99%, it is what they are not. Socrates was saying, know yourself, okay, but he meant to say, know what you are not, mainly. And if you know what you are not, you will get closer and closer to what you really are. And that is that 5% that Bruce was telling us. This is very, very, very important. Now, to heal death is contradictory in terms, because you cannot heal something which is non-existent. How can you heal something that is non-existent at all? Then you have to absolutely turn towards yourself and see that if death exists, it's only within you yourself and not in the outer world. The outer world is just reflecting what you are within yourself and what you are not within yourself. And this is very, very important, because instead of trying to change the world outside yourself, and in years and years, I've met many friends of mine. They tried through spirituality or through meditation and all techniques and exercises, external exercises, to try to understand themselves. And they, ended up in a very, I can call it disappointment. They were disappointed, and they were destroying themselves through trying to change something outside themselves. Only you yourself can really change the humanity or the world of events through your inner states, because your inner states and the outer events are one and the same. Your inner vision and the outer reality are one and the same. Then if you intervene on yourself, you will see that the entire humanity, the entire world will change. I can say the universe can change. And this is something that scientifically you can arrive to this point, where through yourself and through some scientific device, you can really change the inner vision, the inner being. And this is interesting because everything you can say is energy. Then if you intervene on yourself, it is like intervening in the entire world and the universe. Then my point of view is just, get rid of the death that is within yourself, which has been, as Bruce said, through education or through the environment or through our parents, and etc., etc. I can say that you yourself forgot your uniqueness. You forgot you neglected your very nature, and then you created a world that is violent. It is something that you say, I don't know where all this is coming from. And it is coming from you yourself. You are the very cause of whatever is happening in the world. Then turn towards yourself and see that you are the creator, the dreamer, the very doer of all and everything in the outer world. Deathless is not something that you have to achieve. It is impossible to achieve something that you already are.
Right, yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
It's something that you have to remember. Remember, yes. It means to put the members together, and this is the field of Bruce. to put the members together, to unify yourself, to return to an inner unity, an inner integrity, because the real you can come out and the world will be heaven on earth. Absolutely.
Right, yes. So Bruce, is our natural state a deathless state? And
yes. Thank you, Philippe and Elio, for your explanation, because it all's going to come together. Everything comes together here. And I want to take it just very quickly from New Age idea into science. And I say, what is it? I say, 50 years ago, I was cloning cells. I say, what is that? I put one cell in a petri dish all by itself, an embryonic cell. And it divides every 10 hours. So first there's one cell, then there's two, then they divide, there's four, then there's 8, and doubles and doubles. 1 week later, I have 30,000 cells in the petri dish. All cells came from the same parent. So all the cells are genetically identical cells. But I split the cells into 3 smaller dishes. And I feed them what is called culture medium. This is very critical. The cells grow in a fluid called culture medium. I make the culture medium. I say, what is it? It's the laboratory version of blood. I say, what does human blood have in it? If I grow human cells, I make a culture medium with the same stuff human blood has in it. But now here comes the important part of the experiment. Because I make the culture medium, I could change the chemistry a little bit. So I make 3 different culture media, slightly different chemistry, slightly different. And I say, then what? In one dish, I put culture medium A, the cells form muscle. In the second dish, remember, genetically identical cells, but a different culture medium, and the cells form bone. In the third dish, again, genetically identical cells, but a different environment, C, the cells form fat cells. So you're left with a conclusion. All the cells were genetically the same. How did some become muscle, some become bone, some become fat? Not because of the genes, but the environment in which the cells were growing. And this is the new science called epigenetics. I say, so what does the culture dish and the culture medium have to do with humans? I go, when you look at yourself in the mirror, you see one person, but I say, no, that's 50 trillion cells. 50 trillion cells make a human. A human is a community of 50 trillion cells. And I go, so this is skin-covered petri dish, 50 trillion cells. But you have the original culture medium, blood. And I say, the fate of the cell is not due to the genes. The fate of the cell is due to the chemistry of the blood. Now we're going to make the big step. So I say, well, what in the body makes the chemistry of the blood? I say, the brain is the chemist. Now comes the most important understanding. What chemistry should the brain put into the blood? And the answer is, what is the picture in your mind? If you have a picture of love in your mind, the brain releases love chemistry, which gives you vitality and growth and health. That's why when people fall in love, they're so healthy, because the blood contains chemistry of love. But if you're afraid or live in fear, you have different chemistry from the brain that gets you ready for flight and fight. That's what they say, adrenal system, fight or flight. I say, so the body, the cells of the body are based on the picture in the mind. And you go, that's still New Age. I go, maybe you've heard of placebo effect. And someone is sick and the doctor says, here's the newest medicine. This is going to heal you. And the patient takes the medicine and they get better. But then we find out that the pill was a sugar pill. What healed the patient in placebo effect? The belief the pill is going to heal me. So belief created health. And I say, and no one talks about that's from positive belief. What about negative belief? It's same power, but negative belief doesn't take you toward life. Negative belief takes you toward death. And the more fear we live in, the faster we die. This is called nocebo. So point, what's the picture in your mind? And then I go, but there are two minds. The conscious mind got the picture of honeymoon, heaven, love, everything. The subconscious mind got programmed from other people. War, violence, hatred, all of that. Aging, that part of, so I said 95% of your life is coming from the blood created by this mind, subconscious. Only 5% are you creating, except in the honeymoon. When you're in a honeymoon, the picture in your mind of honeymoon, the blood that comes from that brain is the one that controls your wishes and your desires. That's why when you fall in love, you create heaven. But if you're regular day, your life's not coming from the heaven, it's coming from the subconscious. And the chemistry of the vision of a world in fear, a world in stress, when you live in today's world, will I have a job? Do I have money? Am I healthy? Fear is a chemistry that causes the cells to stop growing, and fear will cause death, and love will cause life. And I go, the understanding of how the picture in the mind, love or fear, is turned into chemistry by the brain, and the chemistry controls the genetics and the behavior. So the point that I just want, if I can very quickly try to show you, how long can you live? I go, remember I said you're made out of 50 trillion cells. And every day, hundreds of billions of cells die every day, every minute, 3 million cells die. And actually, I think it's every second, 3 million cells die. And I go, well, how long can you live if the cells are dying all day? And I say, there's special cells in your body, and this is the secret of life. They're called stem cells. What is a stem cell? Embryonic cell. And I say, oh, so when my cells are dying, there's new cells coming from stem cells, embryonic cells. And they replace the dead cells. I said, well, how long can they do that for? Right now? Forever, as far as we know. So I say, every day you can make new cells every day. So I say, well, when would you die? I say, well, there's no reason. As long as the stem cells are creating new cells, there's no reason for you to die, because you can replace the body parts every day with new cells. Then I say, where's the problem come from? And if I can make it real quick, is this. Inside the cell is DNA, a blueprint to make the cell. And every time the cell divides, it has to copy the DNA. And so every time a cell divides, it copies the DNA. Now comes a problem. The DNA is like a long molecule. And I say there's a special protein that copies the DNA. And it's like a train moving down the track. And behind the train, it makes a new copy of DNA. So as it goes down the DNA, it copies the DNA. But look what happens when it gets to the end. When this protein gets to the end, it can't copy the piece it's on because it falls off. So the new copy is now shorter. It's now shorter. Then I say the next time that it comes down, it gets to the end, and then that gets shorter. So wait a minute, here's the secret. Every time the cell divides, the DNA gets shorter, the little piece at the end. And this is called a telomere. It's just an extra railroad track. But if the railroad track runs out, and the next time you copy, you lose a piece, that's the genes. And that's when aging and disease and death start, because you are shortening the DNA. Every time the cell divides, it's shorter. And when it reaches a shortness, it can't create a whole gene anymore. And aging, it's called telomere. And they said, oh, that determines how long you live, how many times the cells divide. And then they run out of the DNA telomere, and then you die. But guess what? There's an enzyme that makes new telomere. And the more telomere it makes, the longer the DNA becomes, the more it can keep dividing and dividing without losing the gene. The longer the telomere, the longer your life. The shorter the telomere, the quicker you come to an end. This is the final thing. The length of the telomere is based on the enzyme, but the enzyme, you ready, is based on your consciousness. If you love your life and you wake up every day and say, I love my life, I'm so grateful, I'm so thankful, I love my life every day, the telomere grows and you have longer life. But if you wake up in a world of abuse, if you wake up in a world of violence, if you wake up in a world that doesn't support you, the enzyme doesn't work. And that means the longer you live in that world, the faster you die. The longer you live in a world where love and joy and gratitude, the more you have of that, the longer your telomere, the longer your life. I say, how long can this go on for? And the answer is, as far as we know, you can make telomere for several hundred years. And so dying at 80, 90, that's not even near your life. And the reason is we, with our minds, are shortening the telomeres by not being in harmony, not being in love. By being in stress, we shorten our lives. And the world is based on stress. And if you follow Elio's story, changing your mind and your consciousness and seeing love and living in peace and living in harmony and living in community, you will have a long life. And I say, how long? I say, I don't know. But minimum, science says minimum 150 years. And we don't know how long is the full life you could have. So the point is, we're dying too young because the picture in our mind is not harmony and health, it's stress. And that's where we have to change the picture.
Thank you, Bruce. Elio, you talk about a place even beyond thought and belief that has an influence over our reality. Can you talk about that?
I would like to say something that goes against what Bruce was telling us, and it is not personal, but it is my understanding. What happened to me a long time ago, it was that I refused to go through all these scientific or spiritual, version of life. And I understood that time itself has to be put in discussion, has to be questioned. Time. Now, if we say long life, short life, and all the genes that create all these things, it means time. When you understand that time is non-existent, time is a device that you yourself created just to make visible what it is apparently invisible. Then time is a paint. Time is a vernice that you put on the invisible to make it visible. And this is interesting to understand. That's why I never tried to enter into the scientific world, because it is too complicated, and I wanted to simplify and understanding what time means. This simplify your life and your entire existence, because you eliminating time, you eliminate all negative emotions, you eliminate all the violence. and all the disasters in the world. Just eliminating time. Eliminating time means to turn toward yourself and living in the very moment, in this very instant. And this is the very cause that creates all and everything. If you live in the instant, in the very moment, you will, it's this instant will spread out in all directions and will change also the past. Then the past and the future and all the directions that you believe to go through are just a very projection of what you are in this very instant. This is, for me, questions all the science and the scientific discoveries. I don't believe in science or technology, not because they are not doing a very good job, but just because whatever is rules by time is false. And this is why I am very suspicious about what comes from outside. And this is also about technology, going to Mars or creating new devices and instruments in technology. I mean, this will never change, humanity. Humanity will remain violent, conflictual, and this is something that is going on for a long time, and it will never change humanity or mankind in the future. The only way to change the outer world and humanity itself is through you yourself, and not through a crowd or through a mass, because this is what it has been done for a long time, and today we believe that technology is very advanced, but it is not. We are still, very primitive, like the medicine, like all the sciences that we believe that are advanced and are really searching for new techniques, technology, and medicine. But we will fail. We will again fail all the time until you yourself turn towards yourself and see that humanity, the entire world and the entire universe is just a projection, is just a materialization of what you are. Then forget about the others, forget about the world, the technology, the politics and governments and the science and all those things, and turn towards yourself and see that you possess all and everything to change the world, the entire world, and create a healthy humanity. But you yourself, don't worry about the wars and conflicts in the world, because they are non-existent. Violence out there is non-existent, but in yourself. I am not questioning Bruce. I am questioning science and spirituality and politics and all the economics and education, but not to be against all those things. I mean, this is your own projection. My projection, let's say, if I can say mine, but it is yours. It is just what you are, and the world is just the world is as it is because you are as you are. Then the world outside yourself has no fault, has no is not guilty, just because you yourself, with your inner conflictual moods and inner states, inner conditions, you are projecting a world of violence and conflicts. But if you turn towards yourself and just observe, you just are aware of what is going on within yourself without trying to change it, just to observe it, you will see that something miraculous happen within yourself, and the world will follow, just follow.
Philip, I'd like to just add, because I'm a scientist by my my career, scientist, and we have to, let me make a distinguishing difference between religion and science. Religion holds a belief, and that's called the dogma. You hold that belief forever. But science has a belief, but we also know over time the beliefs change. So science is always moving, a future, but the old beliefs, if they're found to be wrong, we have to let them go and move into the new belief. So science isn't there. And I'll tell you, the big problem is technology, not science. Science comes up with the idea, technology makes a business out of the science. That's where it goes wrong. And I say, so why is it important? Because of the science. And I say, well, what's the science have to do with it? And it says, you are creating, we've been talking about that. Let me give you a fact of science. Less than 1% of disease is connected to genetics. 90% of disease is created by consciousness, not living in harmony with the body or the world. And as when we change consciousness, we can go through healing. But if you believe you're a victim, then you're going to believe whatever the business selling you. Pharmaceutical companies, not science. Pharmaceutical companies, technology. They'll take science and make a pill. The pill isn't science. The pill is technology from science. And you believe you're a victim, and you believe you have no power, and then you buy from other people power. Oh, I can't take care of my health. My genes did this. One woman, Elizabeth Tom said in the chat, I just noticed, said that her grandmother died at 50. Her mother had a hysterectomy and had her organs removed at 50. And she, when she went through menopause, and then Elizabeth said she just went through menopause and didn't have to have her organs removed. And I want to say this, that history of dying young, that history of cancer, or that history that you were passed down from your mother who got it from your grandmother who got it from her grandmother, etc. That is where the problem came from, the program. You are not the program. You can change the program at any time. And I'll give you a very important insight. When they looked at what happens if a baby is adopted into a family where there's cancer running in the family, what about the adopted child? And here's the point. The adopted child will get the same family cancer as any of the brothers and sisters that are natural. But the adopted child came from totally different genetics. I say, then where did the cancer come from? Not from the genes, from the program. And now we know 90% of illness is just the program. And if you want to take your power back, you have to change those programs that were downloaded from generation to generation. You're very powerful. Humans are so powerful, they don't believe it. You can walk across the hot coals, but you have to believe it before you walk across the hot coals. And so the point about it is what? We are creating a world that is destroying itself, but we are the ones who are the creators. And to step out of this, we have to stop following the program and create new programs based on your wishes and desires, not what you got passed down from school and from family. Those programs are trouble. It's what do you want? And if you make your wishes and desires and you can install them as programs, then without even thinking, 95% of the day, your mind will be creating from the subconscious programs. It does that now. But if you have negative programs, then 95% of the day creates negative life. You got positive programs, then 95% of the day, without you even thinking, it will automatically create a positive life. So the issue is this. Don't, as Elio was saying, don't go out and change the world. First, you have to change your filter of what you see, and the world will automatically change after that. But if you don't change the programs you got from generations, you will live the same life as the people before you. So does Elizabeth have to die because her grandmother died at 50 or mother had the hysterectomy? I say, no, that's a program of behavior that is causing a problem. And so Elizabeth Tomset doesn't have to go through what her mother did. She's the one that can change the program. And that's how we can go from disease like cancer to remission. Who has remission? The ones who believe they're going to have remission. The other ones who believe, oh my God, it's coming back, they'll get it again. Because you still don't get the most important point that Elio and I, it's so important and it's so simple. That's where the problem comes from. The simple part is you're a creator. If you don't like this creation, then you are the one that has the opportunity to change that experience. Nobody else can change it for you. You change it. And so it's time for personal responsibility. And that word, that scares people. I go, but if you didn't know the secret of understanding before, you can't be guilty of what happened in history. You can only, the day you learn this is the day you get power. Before today, you didn't learn it, you had no power. But starting today, you can have power if you start to recognize, I'm a creator. I want to create something different. I say, then put that program in there and you'll create something different. And so whether it's coming from the science or from the economics and worldview of the school, it's the same answer. And you are going to have to own someday, you're the creator, because the day you own, you are the creator, is the day you begin to have power over the creation. If you believe you're a victim, you'll always be a victim. It's only changing in here.
And this can happen. This can happen only in this very instant. I don't believe that in time we can change not even a pin in the outer world. We have absolutely to turn towards this very instant and understand that in this very moment, there is the whole creations, the past and the future. This is important to translate it in a scientific formula. And this is what we will be in the next future. I wish myself and you to collaborate in this, how we can eliminate time from within. And that means eliminate fear, doubt, worries, and all negative emotions, and eliminate the death, which is something non-existent. Then if you turn toward yourself and are aware of what is going on within yourself, not trying to change in positive what is negative, not trying to change violence in serenity or peace, but just to observe it, you can change the world. This is very, very important, because the observation creates an alchemy within yourself, which is absence of death. That is a deathlessness, which is loving yourself inside. That means to die lesser and lesser, you know, and in a matter of few years in time, you will see that you will find yourself in absence of time, where the very cause of all and everything abides, you know, dwells.
So that's a great intervention point, and we've been receiving questions from our attendees. I'm just scanning through the chat here. We have people from Brazil, the Netherlands, London, Australia, Romania, Palestine, Belgium, Israel, and on and on and on. This is a great opportunity to speak to.
Thanks to Bruce.
Yes, yes. And to you, Elio. The most people, I would say, on this call at least, would say, I intuitively understand this. How do I overcome unconscious or subconscious, maybe, predispositions, ideas that are unavailable to my conscious mind? And that's the question for Bruce. And then for you, Elio, what is the point of intervention, and how can one approach this? Simply observing sounds easy, but how can one approach this and make it practical in their lives?
Can I start, Philippe, on that?
Please, Bruce.
Okay. Let me make a very important point then again about the two minds. I say the conscious mind is the creative mind connected to your spirituality. The conscious mind has your wishes and desires. That's what you want. The subconscious mind has programs, and you got those programs first 7 years. Your conscious mind wasn't even working. During those 7 years, you downloaded programs, good programs, bad programs. There was no filter. So you got all kinds of programs downloaded. And I say, so conscious mind is creative. That's the one wishes and desires. The subconscious mind just program. Whatever you got, you play the program over and over and over again. So I say, yeah, so they have two different functions, conscious, subconscious. Now here comes the most important part. They don't learn in the same way. That's where the problem comes from. The conscious mind is creative. You can learn from the discussion we're having here. The conscious mind could read a self-help book. The conscious mind could watch a video and change. You can just go, aha, I have a new idea. You just change conscious mind. Subconscious mind is called habit mind. And I go, why is it important? Habits don't want to change. If it changes, it's not a habit anymore. So I'm saying the subconscious mind learns in a different way than the conscious mind. And most of us out there, all of us have very smart conscious mind. We learned all the rules. We learned all the programs. We learned how to do things. And I said, but our life didn't change. I go, no, because the conscious mind being educated does not change the subconscious mind. It learns in a different way. In the first 7 years, it learned because it was in a state of theta, which is a brain vibration, hypnosis. A child learns just by watching. Everything it sees, downloaded. After age 7, the child learns by repeating something, practicing. You want to play an instrument? You got to practice every day. You want to drive a car? You got to practice. So repetition is the second way you can put a program in. And now, because of the necessity of our extinction, there's a faster way to change the program called energy psychology. And it's a super learning process. And you can change beliefs in minutes instead of days. The other way takes days. And I go, in minutes. I say, so here's what's important, that we operate from these subconscious programs. And no matter how smart we get, they're the same subconscious programs. You have to change the subconscious program. You have to do something special to do that. And then you know, some people say, I'm talking to myself. And I laugh because I say, who are you talking to? Oh, I'm talking to the subconscious. I go, there's nobody in there. It's a machine, like a hard drive in a computer. You can talk to your computer until you're blue in the face. It's not going to change. The computer, oh, you got to do special to make a program. Well, same with human. And before I close this part, two things. Number one, there is a new way of changing belief called energy psychology. There are many different ways on my website. So just people know, very simply, on my website, brucelipton.com. Under belief change, there's about 25, 30 different ways to make belief change. So I just want you to know there's a resource, okay? But I also need you to know, what is your program? I say, how come I'm asking you what your program is? And I say, because you weren't there when you downloaded the program. The conscious mind doesn't know when you, what did you learn when you were 0? What did you learn when you were 1? Conscious mind doesn't have, it wasn't even working. So now the last thing I would say about this is, how do I know what my program is? And the answer is very straightforward and simple. Your life, 95% is coming from the program. Your life is a printout of your program. Whatever you like that comes into your life, it comes in because you have a program to acknowledge and accept that. But the things you want, and you work hard, and you struggle, and you're sweating, I'm gonna make it happen. Why are you working so hard for that? And the answer is, your program does not support that destination, and that's why you're working hard. If the program supports what you want, you get it. But if the program doesn't support what you want, you have to work and struggle until you change the program. And when you do that, you become the master of your life. And Elio and myself, we talked about this earlier. We didn't start out this way, but once we knew how to do something, our lives become completely changed. And that's why we're here to say that wasn't special. It was understanding something. And the school, the European School of Economics, is a resource of understanding what do I need to do to have the life I want, not the one I've been programmed to have. And this is why we are here, to let you know. We didn't start this way. We had to learn this ourselves. But once we learned it, our lives are completely different. And I want you to know, why are we giving you this information? Because you are also the same as us. You are also a creator. But if you're creating something you don't like, stop blaming the world and start recognizing you're creating.
Very good.
Or the best part, you don't have to wait for somebody else to fix it. You can fix it yourself and walk away with a whole completely different life. Thank you, Philippe, for letting me say that.
What you call program, I call time. And we should live in absence of time. This is our very nature. And time is a good device if you know how to use it. Like someone asked about the ego. How can we get rid of the ego? Why? Ego is a very beautiful mask that you have to use. You have to act as a good actor, an impeccable actor, actress. You have to act in the world. You have to wear a mask that we call ego or false personality, whatever. And you use it just because you have to be in the society and acting and playing your role in society. But within yourself, you have to be timeless. You have to be in absence of time, in absence of fear, in absence of death. You have to stop killing yourself within yourself. You have to stop dying within, because you know, the world can appear to you as the real image of yourself, which is heaven on earth, but it is produced and created by you yourself. If you get rid of time, you know, it's like the ego. It's something that you have to use and never get used by it. This is important to understand. It's for the people who are trying to enter into what we are talking about. It's not easy because you, from your point of view, Bruce, it's a scientific and sometimes, you know, very hard to understand. Yeah, I translated in a very simple way that you are the very cause of all and everything. Then if you pay attention to your inner being, you will be owner of the entire world. This is what has to happen in the world. You know, I am for an individual revolution, not masses revolution. Yeah. You know, the masses destroy, and only the individual can create. Then if, but both of them have to exist and have to collaborate together. They have to be balanced. Then there are schools and universities for masses, and there are few schools and universities for the individuals. This is what I created. And I am very certain and sure that the next future, the world next future will be a better humanity, more free, just because they will forget about memory. They will forget about history. They will forget about time, because history is the history of a crime, wherever you take it. And it's memory is a liar. And we have to get rid of memory, because we can understand what it means to live in this very instant, which is the very cause and creator of all and everything. This is my understanding, and I wish that just a few people can change the entire humanity, turning towards themselves and see that they are the very creator and dreamer of the world as it is.
Thank you, Elio. We're sort of coming closer to the end, and I wanted to choose a question from the audience that I found is interesting. Dr. Ekaterini from Greece asks, how could we make sure that your philosophies and theories are included as subject matter of every school in the world? I believe this would benefit greatly future generations to come.
Well, that's a really important question, and part of that has to do with the fact that is, how long does it take a new idea to get into a textbook?
Yeah, right.
Anywhere from 10 to 15 years after something is proven, even before a textbook has it. So the point about it is our textbooks do not cover the most leading edge of science, quantum physics, epigenetics, and until they come in the textbooks, then they're not really there for the public, because the public uses the textbooks. So we're on that march. And it's interesting because the new science conflicts with some very big corporations. The new science conflicts with the pharmaceutical industry. Why? If you understand that healing comes from consciousness, then the pills and all that stuff are not really necessary. They don't want to hear that. The company doesn't want to hear that.
Right.
The spirituality part is important because excuse me if I make my point. You know, I want to say my thing, so it's not connected to anybody else, but religion is like a business of spirituality, how to control it and how much you pay for it and all that. Spirituality, the new science reveals we're all spiritual, that everything is energy and that our identity is unique, and yet all of our collective identities represent what you might call all that is, or God. Our identities aren't in here. Our identities are the broadcast, the energy, the invisible stuff. Spirit is invisible. It's not chemical, but it's energy. And we have to learn that we're moving, not energy, spirit, like on Sunday. Oh, I went to church and I got some spirit. And at 12 o'clock, I went back to my life again. I go, no. When you understand spirituality, it's every day of your life as a creator, you have responsibility to create. So, you know, all of a sudden it's not somebody else's creation, it's yours. And to separate it by a religion saying some creator here, and I go, no, creator, we are each a piece of what you might say God. We are all creators, and collectively we can create heaven on earth, or collectively we can create hell on earth. And I saw in the chat window a very interesting relationship, because it's true, and that is, for 400 years, the Jesuits have already told you this. They said, give me a child until it is 7, and I will show you the man. What did they know? The first 7 years is program. But they knew after age 7, 95% of your life is the program. So you become whatever the program is. And those people knew about programming for 400 years. They didn't forget about it. Today, the programming is better than even the Jesuits knew how to program. When an infant is walking with an iPad, it can hardly talk and it's got a computer in its hand, that's programming. And what we need to do is recognize future generations need a better program than the ones that we got. And so parents starting now have to recognize the things they are saying to their children are being recorded as programs. So now it's time to give a little bit better talk to not just ourselves, but to our children, that we are powerful, that we are creators, that we have some control over our lives. We're not victims. To make a new world, we have to let go of victim and own creator. And this is Elio is my message, same one from different perspective.
Right. No, yeah, I believe that in time you can never change anything, and it's impossible that education can change the world as it is. We have, you have to turn, you personally, you individually have to turn towards yourself and see that you already know what you are. You have just to be very earnest, and this is earnestness. Is the secret. You have to be earnest with yourself and see that you already know everything. Children already know what is within themselves. Saying that the spirituality, man has to turn towards the spirituality, seems that you can teach how to be spiritual, and that is it is a contradictory in a sense. This is what I see, that you cannot become what you already are. You can only be what you are. And this is why, I think that the education in the world is a failure. Then we have to let every individual to come out with his own uniqueness, and let them, to be free of expressing themselves and not taking anything from outside, not even knowledge from outside. Then our students in our school, they learn what they have to learn from the teachers and professors, but they are also teaching, and the teacher and the professor becomes a student because today students, many of them know much more than the professors themselves, and this is very, very important, because a student brings with him, with her, new knowledge, or let's say new life, and something that is unique. Then we have to consider this, and we have to accept the fact that the student is not a student, but it is an incredible resource for the school. Then I think that we should pay students to come to the school, and not vice versa. This is a very, very, very important, because I can see that the students of the European, but the students in general, are teachers. Each of them is bringing her own uniqueness, and that is magic. Then we should try to have it and to use it in the school and in society, because this is the only solution that we can bring to community and to the humanity and in its entirety. To say that we have to really be very close to young generation and let them to be free. This is and not to fill them up with obsolete ideas and knowledge, and let them free, that they can really donate to the entire humanity their own dream.
Thank you very much, Elio. And unfortunately, our time has run out today. I would like to thank our speakers, Bruce Lipton and Elio D'Anna, for sharing your wisdom with us. And I'd also like to thank European School of Economics, for hosting this wonderful conversation. Special thanks to Bruce Lipton's team and Elio's wonderful team, Marzia Gintoli, Johnny Mosca, Cristiano Verducci, and Joseph D'Anna, and everyone else involved in making this happen today. And of course, thank you all, each and every one of you from around the world, for being with us today. We'll hope you'll join us again for another upcoming event.
Thank you, Philippe.
And Bruce, thank you very much, Bruce. You've
Bruce,
received.
you know,
Yes.
it was so nice to have you. And I hope that you can come to the school, So we have schools in New York, London, Italy, and Madrid. And if you are, in one of these countries, please, come and visit us. Thank you very much, Bruce.
Thank you so much for that invitation. And I just again wanted to acknowledge to the students of the European School that we are indeed in an evolutionary crisis. And the learning of this crisis is to own who you are in creating this and not joining the rest, just mindlessly becoming part of that crowd, because you're not creating what you want, you're creating what is being controlled for us to create. And it's time to take our power back. And the European School is a great resource of new knowledge to help us move into that future. So I'd be honored to show up again anytime. Thank you, Philippe, Elio, and the whole community. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bruce. Thank you, Elio. And now back over to you, Kristen.
Thank you to everyone for being here. Thanks so much, Philippe. You did an amazing job, really, really an amazing job of moderating. I'm sorry it's over. Sometimes we hang around for a couple of hours. And as traditionally in Italy, when you're saying goodbye, it's called le sette cadute. So we start saying goodbye and then we say something and it takes us about an hour to sign off. So I will stay around if anyone needs any information. I can send a text if you need any information from us, and I'll definitely look forward to hearing from you for another event. And Bruce, we'd love to see you here in London or in any of our centers anytime. And of course, here online is the easiest thing, right? So we can do this again sometime really soon. It was amazing to meet you. And thanks so much for being here. And of course, our president, that goes without saying. Thanks so much for joining us today.